All right, coming back to you from ICAST 2013 here in Las Vegas in the Strike King booth with Andy Montgomery. Andy, you got a big old chunk of bait there in your hands, the Strike King 10XD. That's bigger than anything else out there. How does that affect the way you use that bait?
Well, typically deep cranking, we use a little bit softer rods. This right here, we're throwing on flipping sticks. I'm actually throwing it on an 8-foot flipping stick, a big 3000 class Alexa 3000 reel, Daiwa Alexa 3000 reel that has a really wide spool, and you can just launch this thing a mile. You really can't crank it. Typically we crank on 10 and 12 pound line. I'm cranking this on 15 and 17 pound line. So you really got to beef up your tackle to crank this bait. Now, with that being said, as big as the bait is, the best thing about this is it don't pull real hard. It don't wear you out. It doesn't pull any harder than a 6XD. It's just heavier. That's the reason you need the beefier tackle to make the cast. But like I say, it don't pull real hard. It don't resist on you. It don't wear you out. So, you can crank this thing all day just like you can any other deep diving crankbait.
Except that'll load the boat with the big mamas right there on it.
Well, typically what I like to do, another tip, is when I idle over a school and I see them on my depth finder, this is what I'm going to throw in there first. I'm going to make my first cast with this, not with something smaller, because I want to try to get the biggest fish in that school on the first cast. So I typically like to throw this first. We've been fishing Wiley a lot at home, and we've been catching a lot of fish out deep, and it's just a fun bait to go. But this is what I'm gonna throw in there first. My first cast is gonna be with a 10XD, and then I'm gonna go to the typical spoons, the umbrella rigs and stuff like that.
Cool deal. So the 10XD first and then mop up after that. It's a good 1-2 punch.
That's it. The biggest fish in the school first.
That sounds like a wonderful way to approach some summertime bass fishing, folks. We'll be back with more from ICAST here in Las Vegas. All right, I'm here in the Strike King booth at 2013 ICAST with Andy Montgomery. Andy, what's new in the Rage lineup?
We basically have two different baits. This is the Rage DB crawl. It's just got a little less action. The regular Rage crawl had a lot of action. The way this is cut, these vibrate a little bit less. It's a little bit more subtle, a little bit better for high pressure situation and clear water. And we also have the cutter worm. For years, Lake Wiley's big, and around home of actually cutting the tail on a paddle tail worm. You don't have to do that with the Rage cutter worm. It's got all the action of a good cut paddle tail worm, probably a little more. So you can stroke it at night, wind it around, like a spinner bait, or fish it like a traditional worm.
So does that give you a little more thump in that tail then? Do they feel that vibration?
Absolutely. That's the reason we used to cut the paddle tail worms. And, this has the raised technology, the patented raised technology, where it's thicker on the end of the worm, which gives you a lot of thump, a lot of vibration. And, dirtier water night fishing is just a really, really good worm.
Good deal, man. Get some of those Rage Strike King lures this summer and have a blast. We'll be back with more stuff here from ICAST in Las Vegas.